Hey guys, how you doing? Let's do it. Let's do this thing. We'll get into this and get right on down in. Okay. We're doing the London system. So let's get on this. This is the Grunfeld. The London system versus the Grunfeld. Okay, D4. Of course, and it could be brought in many different ways. C5 and C3, B6, knight BD2. Remember, there's also this line here, queen to b3. That's an interesting line. Let's see, and there's a line also for black that's a little slightly better, because then you trade off, and then you kind of get a good line for white in that. The play is for e4. The whole play is for the e4 square for the knight to jump into. That's actually the idea. Let's see here. Then there's instead of taking, there's this interesting move for white as well. So it's knight takes c4, c takes d4, e takes d4, d takes, and then knight takes. And it's more of a reverse queen's gambit decline Tarrasch system with an isolated a d4 pawn. That's mainly what this ends up becoming, the second line. So there, e4. So we're going over the e5. If he takes here, this is actually a bad idea because we can then just take back. So, and then b4. Now we're trying to stake claim on the queen side. There's a better idea of knight takes, bishop takes, e5. Now you see why the bishop here is really good, because we're going to try to remove the g7 bishop. d8, then d7, f4. Very interesting move, because you're cementing the bishop in place, also getting ready for a rook left. b5, d takes c5, e takes the bishop, queen takes the bishop, and then b takes c. We have e4, which kind of, we're trying to maybe make a pass, an isolated pawn. If he takes, we'll take back, takes, and then takes, and he'll have an isolated c5 pawn. So he plays d4, which creates the isolated pawn anyways. The best move for black is actually e6. This cements his structure. He does have two, eventually when we take, he might have two isolated Isolani pawns, but it's better than getting just one isolated pawn. Okay, so b4 was played. Knight to c7, which kind of is more reactive chess. This is a dubious move, taking. C takes, bishop takes c6, c takes b4, queen to d7, and a4. Now we're kind of getting into some attack here. The idea is to gain space on the queen side and kind of cramp black here, because black's trying to counter us on the queen side. But if we can stop the queen side and then get our pieces mobile on the king side, we can win. fc8, b5, wham. Now we have space on the queen side. And then a5. Very strong move. If he takes, that's a really bad move on his part, because we can then take back. But let's see. He shouldn't really take, because then we can actually take with our rook. Alright, I think, let me see what does the computer say here, because I want to make sure that after takes that we are not, oops, hold on, let me get back, right here, A5, gotcha. If takes here, what do we play? I just want to see. Okay, rook takes. And the queen has to come back. Okay. So it is, what it does is, the whole idea about the taking is that it actually allows for our pawn to be more advanced on c5. So this ends up becoming a weakness. And we're 3 squares away from queening. So kind of that's kind of the idea, is to get this isolated pawn, and then black this actually grabs a ton of space for white. It's like in the heart of black. So this is a bad move. It's a mistake. There's actually one correct move for black, and it's c4. This shuts down the bishop. Also, it gains space in the center for white, for black. A4, knight f7, and then we take, because this knight really doesn't cause us any problems because we control this. So we want to get rid of his most active knight, which is actually a c6 knight. Bishop takes, and then f3. F3 takes scope on d5, which makes it vulnerable, because every move has a drawback. This is black's backward pawn, so we're trying to, we can at some point actually take it with knight. Like if he plays, I'll show you, if he plays something like, we'll say rook over, we're just going to make a move for him. We can actually come here, he takes, and we actually have won a pawn. He has to move his rook. He just moves his rook. But I just wanted to show you that that's kind of the idea. That's why this pin is really huge. It's also threatening that. So e5 to attack. C takes, knight takes, and the knight now guards that square. And if we tried bishop takes, knight takes, he can actually come and grab this pawn. I'll show you. If we tried this, we tried this now, he can actually come and grab that pawn. So you have to be really, really, really careful. Let me make sure I have 13 right. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, d takes knight. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Yeah, good, perfect. And so, but there is a line that's really not good for white. If white kind of wants to break the center a little bit and play e4, which is dubious, doesn't really have anything to do with the idea. Best is actually the bishop to cause a pin, and then bishop, and then take there. E4 can be played, and then E5 exclam. This takes advantage for black of this diagonal against the rook on A1. So but he played D7 instead. So we took, and we got rid of actually his best knight. It's funny, this didn't look like his best knight, but it actually was, because at any time he could have rerouted his knight back to f6. With the knight on c6, doesn't really have very good scope, because that's covered, that's covered, that's covered, that's covered. So there's really nothing that he can play. And queen takes. C takes B, C takes B, and then queen to knight B3 with the idea of an attack on these 2 points here. He goes C4. If he makes a blunder and actually plays C takes D, which is a mistake, knight C4, knight C5, queen C8, and then pawn takes C no, C takes D4, E5, and then the exclam idea is retreating back. Yeah, because what happens is if he takes, we control this whole open file. So we're actually good. Rook B8, and then Rook C1 puts pressure. Hey, how you doing? Puts pressure on the king side or queen side, and it makes the queen a little bit bare. Makes her feel a little airy out there when she should have defenders around her. If your opponent takes, and they kind of get a little like, yeah, we're gonna win a pawn and make an isolated, and then potentially we can take back if you take. We play Rook B1. This is the coolest tactic here. D8, and then now I'm gonna step back and allow you guys. You're white. What move do you play here? There's a sweet tactic. It wins a piece. I'll let you guys decide. You're white. Okay, knight B5. Yeah, nice. That's right. That wins a piece on the spot. That's it. Because the rook can't go to B8 because the bishop guards that square. So it's gonna lose. You're gonna lose a knight. Man, oh man, Shevitz. 1 second. Excuse me there. Okay, C4 to attack the knight. C5, knight C5 to attack the queen. Queen C8, and then bishop F3, with the idea of undermining the pawn structure on C5. This takes advantage of the at this moment that's the backward pawn, the D5 pawn for black. There's also, excuse me, a better move, which is E4. Got word twisted there. E4, which actually if he takes, let me see. Hold on, let's see. Oh, if he takes here, you actually play bishop takes B. It really doesn't. It's not. It's not bad even if he takes there. You're forking a rook and a queen. Yeah. So what Fox is talking about is if he takes here, you take here, and if takes there, first of all, you can just take rook takes, because you don't have to worry about a bishop here because your queen guards that. And if the queen moves there, actually the queen can't move there. If the queen moves over here, you just grab that. Queen takes, and now you're up just a whole entire piece, and you can actually move your rook off so that your bishop can come back. So it's total ownage there. Yeah, you gotta love the Grunfeld. I mean, the London system versus the Grunfeld. If you play it properly, man, the London system, even though it's kind of positional, it has some attacking moves in there. If your opponent makes an inaccurate move, you can jump on that inaccurate move and truly ride it to the finish line. let's see here. Hold on. Where did I go wrong here? Okay, E. All right, gotcha. D8. We went a little too far there. Okay, let's see. Did I miss anything here? Hold on. I want to make sure. See. No, I haven't missed anything yet. Good. Okay. Because there's a line that I want to go over with you guys. Perfect. Alright, there. Queen there. That was a mistake. You shouldn't have played that. That actually doesn't apply really to any of our ideas. What number is that? 16? Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. 16. What am I missing here? I think I'm missing a move here. Gotta make sure that I got the right one. Ah, here we go. Had the page turned to the wrong spot. Sometimes. Yes. Fine. Good, we got it. Yeah, this was a mistake moving that. Best would have actually been, surprisingly, A4. And this actually gets an exclam because you're not wanting to trade off the queens. Your queen is more active. You're gonna want to try to go after D5 because black doesn't have a light square bishop anymore, and you have the two bishops. So you're gonna play on the one diagonal he doesn't have, which is the light squares. Okay. You're also threatening queen takes C4, which is an exclam as well, because if pawn takes, then the bishop takes the queen. Alright, that's kind of odd. It's threatening that. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, then now rook C8, which takes a protection on this pawn here, the C4 pawn, because this is a threat that would cause some problems. Let me see here. There. Okay. Rook A, B1. Oops, I gotta get rid of that. Come on. There we go. A, B1 to attack the queen. So the queen has to move to A8 to keep an eye on this pawn. Because if the queen ever moves off, like if the queen ever moved, we'll say over here. Let me see. Actually, I think, well, you would take. So, okay, that's a bad move because you would just go like that. That's a bad move. So the only move that really the queen can do is to retreat back, now that I think about it. That is the only move. Just wanted to make sure, wanted to get rid of the arrow. Otherwise, it ties the arrow to it. So sometimes I have to go back and click to get the arrow off, then move it again. Okay, B5. Now we're eyeing D5. And that actually that's an exclam move, because as a multitude of ideas. Then one idea is rook F B1. The other idea is rook takes D4. Actually, bishop takes D4, which I don't know if it does it pick up a piece, or is it? I think it's bishop takes. Bishop takes, because that picks up a pawn, and it also pins the knight. Then you could bring. Let's see. Okay, here the knight would have to go there, and then you can bring your rook over to. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Just wanted to take a look to see if that idea would actually apply. E6, and then bishop to bishop D6 here with an exclam, because you're now attacking the rook, and now our bishop is outside the pawn chain. Yes, we now have a active bad bishop. This is what we want. We can now implant our bishop along here, which is sweet. We finally got it outside the pawn chain. Otherwise, it's outside here, but outside the pawn chain anyways. But this is just a more active diagonal. That's what I should rephrase that. So rook to e8, which is a mistake on a black's part. He has to play it though. So it's like, what am I to do? And then rook takes the pawn there. And let's see here. I'm not sure. I think after that, if he takes, if pawn takes, it actually stopped. The line stopped here. So I'm trying to see what would potentially be an idea. Probably something like that. Oh, no. Oh, I see. My bad there. He can't do that because he'd lose a rook. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, so this undiscovers an attack on the rook there, so the rook's lost. The only way to hold is actually knight c6, and then all you have to do is play rook c4, c5, and this is one of these things is gonna go bye-bye. So that's kind of the idea. That's kind of why e8, yeah, you're gonna lose something. It's because of this, that, and there. So that's why that idea, it's all over at that point. And I'll keep this line so that you guys can see the idea. That's actually a good mark there. Okay, queen d7. But see, what happened is we kind of played passive. Our opponent, our guy, played passive. Excuse me, allergies. So he should have played here and then went for that line and kept the bind, kept the pressure on black. But traded off, and of course the queen didn't. That was the silly thing. The queen had a bailout plan that potentially you could have just went e6 if queen takes, knight takes, and you may have to come over here and then come down or something, but you at least have your chain protected at that point. But he actually let's see, he played queen to d7, which kind of is almost a forced move. You have to do that. e4, e6, yeah, that is. This is a very important move. a4. So now we're trying to gain space, and the more space we can take, the better we are. So e takes, e takes. Now there's a pin here if we can get a queen, which we do. Wham. Which is really strong. Now we're eyeing this pawn here. Rook f. This is forced to hold the pawn. See, White's plan is fluid. And if you notice, the question marks are when inside of, like when you drop water, a rock in a pond, it makes those ripples. That's kind of how you want the water. You don't want a stone to be dropped. You want those waves, which is the flow of the water movement. Like in the tide creates waves, natural waves. That's kind of how you want in chess to play. You want a natural flow. And like when queen to b1 was played over here rather than queen to a4, that wasn't a natural move. That was forcing. That was actually a forcing move. You didn't let the position tell you where to go to. The position will. If you're patient and you listen to your pieces, that's what my teacher told me. They'll actually tell you. Even on the Knights of South Bronx, Dylan, which was the littlest kid in the group, said that this one gentleman who was a really good, like I think he was a national master at IM, asked him because he won the first game out of all of them when they first started. He was the only one that won. He asked him and said, "Hey, little buddy, how did you win?" He says, "Well, my ninjas told me where to move." He says he liked ninjas, and so he was the ninja master, and those were his soldiers, and they told him on the board where to move. And so that's kind of how you have to do. You have to listen to the position. It sounds kind of odd, but the position will actually tell you where to move. It'll naturally show you, this is weak. See back here, look at when he takes here, white notices that this pawn on d5 is weak. So naturally, what do you play? Queen to b5. Now you're double attacking the pawn. This is also pinned, so it just makes sense to take, and then queen to b5. Okay, rook f8. And then now this also is it makes sense as well. Potentially we can get queen to b7. And if we trade off here, we then have the potential for doubling up of rooks. We can get the 7th rank and start causing some problems for black. So rook c8 and queen to a6. Now queen a6 is a better move than what I proposed because remember, it has flow. What are we going to do? We're going to get our other rook involved. We're going to bring the other rook. Now we have all of our pieces flowing. That's what the Grand Masters, that's what they said Capablanca actually had, was the ability to know when to take his pieces from one side to the other. It was amazing how he just, all of a sudden you're like, how did that happen? And his opponent's working on one side. All of a sudden Capablanca shifts everything to the opposite side, and you're stuck going, what just happened? All my pieces are on the queen side. Capablanca's attacking on the king side, and it's all over at that point. Okay, we'll continue onward. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we didn't do, let's, hold on. We have to go back. There's a line that we have to look at here. Okay, here. There's actually, the sack on d4 doesn't work here. I'll show you. This is what they're talking about here. If you take here, which looks like potentially you might be able to, win a pawn and cause a kind of breach in the position like that, this doesn't work because c takes d, knight takes d, and c takes d is actually a sclam because you're willingly walking into a fork. You're willingly walking into a fork. Queen takes, rook takes, actually not rook takes, sorry. First of all, you have to do the in-between knight takes check, 2, and then g takes and rook takes. So now you've doubled black has 2 passers, but the problem is they're not really weak because you have a piece. Okay, f to c. Now we're bringing our pieces into the fight, and then c8. Okay, and then e5, which now that covers this whole diagonal, and that gets an exclam because of how powerful. We now have full control over this, which if the rook ever comes up here, we can just, like if he blunders and plays this, that's mate. So that's why this bishop gets an exclam. It covers that square and that too. You have to look at all these, and then if d4 is played, which is actually a mistake here, the double question mark. Why we exposed the back rank to, because remember, he can't take this rook. He can't take it at all. If he takes it, we get mate and 2. It's mate. So that's why this move gets an exclam as well. The threat is more than the sometimes in the execution, but in this line, it's more powerful. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Did I miss 17? Did I miss something here? No, I got that. Okay, good. Wanted to make sure I put everything in here. Okay, sweet. Okay, played rook a there, a c8. But that's if he gets a little greedy and tries to, rather than play a c8 here, if he takes here, that line really gets black into a quagmire of problems. a6. He does take now. Okay, let's see. Where are we? 24? Okay, good. Well, let me see. Gee, yeah, this move was a mistake. The best idea was actually bishop to e3, because that covers the sacrifice with the bishop to get 2 connected central pawns. That was actually the best. And then it would be followed up by rook to b5 with a pin, a pin, a pin, a pin, and all that. But he played g3, so be very careful. Don't just react to your opponent's moves. Move your piece. Make sure when they're attacked, like a piece is getting attacked, check to find the best square for the piece. Don't just retreat it, to a square. Make sure it's the best, because this line costed white 2 pawns. And then let me see here. Did we do 22? Yes, we did. Bishop. Okay, there. All that queen takes. I want to make sure I got this right. Okay. If queen hadn't, if bishop hadn't taken and the queen went queen to d3, which kind of looks really forcing, because you're preparing for this to happen. It's preparation. We can actually play knight takes. Bishop takes d5. Pawn takes. Not pawn takes. Exclam. I don't know where I got pawn takes from. I must have a taking pieces on the brain. There's also the queen move's really bad, but there's another line that if queen goes to d7, that's just a play mistake, not a blunder. And in that line you go f4, which is an exclam move, because you're taking advantage of the rook being put where it is. f6 is played, b5. It shuts this bishop out, so this sacrifice is no longer in play. Now we're getting ready to take the d5 pawn. So knight c7 to guard d5, and then now we bring our queen in to attack, our rook into b7 to attack the queen right through to the knight. And this is basically winning. We're dominating at this point. A lot of space, plus we're keeping black passive. So, but this move really is not good because you're winning. You can't actually take here because you drop a rook. That's why when the queen moved from there to d, it stopped guarding this pawn here. This piece here. So you got to look for those weak points. So you just grab that. If that takes, you grab the rook. Okay, dokie. Let's see what else do we got here. Okay. There's a better line for white. The best shot, instead of going from b to c1, is actually let's see. Hold on. What am I? Oh, okay. Rook takes here is actually an exclam idea, because you're attacking the knight. You also now have an outside pass pawn. So when he plays knight takes, g takes, and queen takes, not queen takes, because we don't have to go for this pawn. He goes d4, b8, where this is an exclam idea. D3. Hold on, what am I? Oh. What did I missing something here? Hold on. Okay, let me go back here and make sure that I'm doing this at the right point. Okay, perfect. There. G, D. Oh, snap! That's the reason. There we go. I was wondering why that didn't work. D3. Rotate C, rotate C, and queen to D4 with a double attack there. C3, then bishop F4, which we're up a whole piece. So all we have to do is neutralize these two pawns, and we got it. Now the queen-sided pawn thrust doesn't work, because even if we had to, we can sacrifice our bishop for these two pawns, and we're still okay because we have a passed pawn, outside one. So let's go back. C takes D, knight takes D, rook B to C1, knight takes, which is a mistake. Let me see here. I gotta make sure. Okay, this is the line that black should have seen. He made a mistake. This line would have actually given him an advantage if he had played. It sounds strange. C3. C3 actually takes scope if he takes here, he can't really take because he'll lose a rook. So C3, and if bishop to E2, knight takes E2, queen takes E2, and then D4. And I don't know in this line if the pawn can actually be blockaded here, this attack, because the queen's not here now, it's in front of the pawn, which means that these pawns can start attacking the queen as they go down. But rather than doing that, they took, g takes, queen takes, and then rook e f8. And then he played d4, which was a mistake. It says an important move which would an important move which loses white still, which loses, oh, still must, okay, this is the line here. Sorry, I had to get to the right spot. This still allows for white to win. It says that it's an important move which still loses for black. White still must work hard for the win, because if he plays there, white still has to work hard because he's up a piece for let's see, I think he has black has 3 pawns for the piece, so white's gonna have to work really overtime to get rid of these two, and this pawn is also strong, so it's going to be some work, but I believe with proper play, white can neutralize black's threat. It's all dependent on what happened, but black missed it, played d4, c takes. Let me get this here. D takes, queen takes, d3, queen to h4. Which attacks the knight, protects the bishop, and it just gets the pieces activated, more active. c8, and the best right here would be, instead of c8, queen d5 would actually have been a better try. But then you have bishop f4, which is a really strong idea, because if he pushes, we have here, and then we could take. So, but this never happened. It stopped here. This is actually the best move if the queen went from here to there. Queen to d5. Okay, let's see. Which that didn't happen. So queen h, rook c8, queen f4, queen d5, queen e3. Now we're eyeing that pawn. We're also preparing bishop f4, and maybe even bishop e5 to f6, and a sacrifice. If we get a bishop here, we can actually sack our queen and back rank mate. So everything's in an operation go. So h5, d1. Now we're gonna basically win the pawn. Rook d8, queen e7 to take advantage of this rook and the potential placement with a bishop on h4. Rook d7, queen f6, queen c4, rook b1, which now we're threatening here, and then rook slides over with mate. So queen to rook to f, rook b7, rotates b7, and there's no way to. I'm gonna stop here. I want you guys to find the setup for a mate for white. Okay, what's the move that sets up mate? That's what I should say. What's the move that sets up for mate? Queen takes b, right? And then bishop e5. Exactly, there's no way to stop mate now. If the king moves over here, you can actually, I believe, let me see here. Yeah, this is mate here. And if the king comes up here, this is mate. So wherever the king goes, if here, that's mate. If here, that's mate. There's even, I think, a mate. There's 3 mates. There's here, here, and then if here he's got that, that's mate. And that's the only mate. So there's 3 mates in the position. So after bishop to e5, yeah. After bishop e5, the game is completely over. He can try some checks, like potentially with a check here. He can try another check there. You could try here. He could try check there. Oops, sorry, can't check there. I think at this point now all the checks are gone. Yeah, after this there's no more checks and it's over. But you'd have to endure for a little bit some checks. And this is and then all the checks are done. F3, and what's black gonna do? Is basically have to give up the queen. I think we can just check there. And then we just move our bishop there. And there's really no way to stop the mate threat. He can't move here, so the only move is there. Well, I guess you could push a pawn. And then you get checkmated though. We'll stop here. That was just a line that I wanted to show you guys if you guys were ever wondering kind of the mate move. So let's summarize up, and then we'll either do puzzles, or if you guys have a game you'd like to go over, we'll do that too. But in summary, alright, whenever there is tension on c5, so we got to go back to where is c5. Whenever there's tension in the c5 reverse closed Catalan line, look for a favorable time to play the sequence of, let's see, let's go to the point here. There's a point, wait, and at this point it says be ready for the right time to take, and then takes, and then b3. Just be ready for that to come to fruition, and then you'll eventually control c5. Just one sec, we'll go over that line. And then if you go c4, now this is the whole line. So just be ready when there's tension on c5. Be ready to play b4, and then trade off at the right moment and implant the knight to b3 to knight to c5, and you should be winning in that line. Okay, let's take a look at that game now. But that's the summary of that. We're halfway through the book. I can't wait. We're almost to the London system versus the King's Indian. That'll be really fun. Come on. Wow, it actually ended in mate. There was a game that did. Sweet. Okay, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, c3. Oh, the Italian game. Yeah, this was actually played in today. There was the juniors games in the ladies division. There was a game that one of the players actually walked right into supposedly somebody's preparation in the Italian game. But this turned into the Budapest, which is it's almost symmetrical except for there's no knight here, opposite knights, but the bishops are the same, different colors but kind of same setup. d4, bishop takes, knight takes, then f4. This undermines the pawn structure on e5. F takes e takes n. Now white's actually down a pawn, but we can take advantage of this knight here. c6, queen, and now we're gonna potentially slide over here. We could actually play there. That's an interesting move. Maybe connecting the rooks is the idea. Nice. So the knight can't go back. King would have to move. And then you can just play takes, attacking the queen. If the queen takes there, he grabs actually can't grab a pawn. So let's say he grabs the other pawn, just gets a little greedy and starts grabbing pawns. You can actually snap that. Let's see here. Wham, there's mate. That's sweet. Nice. This is a nice one too. You have to love this idea. If takes here, that is a discovery too. That's a fun one. And king moves, and the bishop idea still applies here. So if you retreat back, trying to see what could we actually play. So probably queen takes at this point would be the move. So queen takes, knight takes, and takes there. I guess we can win a pawn. I think, yeah, we're still, let's see, there's 5. We're 5, yeah, 5 and 5, but he's got a central pass pawn. I think we're still good. Yeah, queen g5. Gotta love it. See, he's an aggressive player like me. Wham. Wham. So, 2 pieces for the bishop. Let me see here. Hold on. So you're saying bishop takes d6. Where? Well, which one? Let me see. So takes. Oh yeah, bishop takes. Oh, you're saying cool. No, not that one. Okay, queen e. Okay, g5. Gotcha. Gotcha, g5. This is what you're talking about here. Okay. Gotcha. Threatens bishop takes, followed by queen takes g4. Yeah, all with tempo. That's right. Castles, rotates. We go wham. We won 2 pieces. Takes, takes, takes. Let's see, he's got 6 pawns. We have 5 pawns. So it's equal pawn count. But we have 2 pieces, so it's better for us. We're trying to destroy to get our rook involved. Check. And then bring the b4 down. I think the same sitch arises in this setup here. Probably just grab the pawn. You don't have to trade off. He has really nothing at this moment. If he plays there, now we can check. We just grab that. If he grabs there, now we have 2 passers, and so we got enough compensation. Nice checkmate. What? I'll put on puzzles. I'll be right back. If you have another game, put it in, and we'll go over it. But I'll put on puzzles for you guys to kind of solve while I'm gone, just for a second. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. Ooh, Rubinstein versus Alexander Alekhine. Oh, nice. So which side do you want to do it from? Alekhine or Rubinstein? Okay, black, alright. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, Rubinstein. Oh, well, we'll look at it from Alekhine, and then we'll talk about it from both sides. So, because I think the game is sometimes these games are based on one person's game, one person's player, like they're known for this game. So I think this might be one that Alekhine is known for. Let's see, G3. And if you notice how Alekhine takes advantage of all of like Rubinstein's ideas. Bishop G2, so that castling with Rubinstein then can castle. Bishop B4 check. Knight intercepts. Castles and then castles. And now there's no more pin on the king, so the knight can freely move. D5. This is an interesting move because it allows for A3, so which then there's some expansion. He can't come here, of course, because potentially that, or maybe just the expansion of B4 is enough. After takes, knight takes, and he's got to move. So I think Rubinstein would be better here. So A3. Alekhine moves the bishop. Oops, I got to turn off the engine. This doesn't help us. We don't need the engine on. So B4 was played. C5. One thing I noticed about the grandmasters of old, you don't have to take. You can just leave the tension. Sometimes the tension causes more frustration than taking does, because that's in the back of your opponent's mind. When's he gonna take? When's he gonna take? That type of thought. Takes. So now there's a weakness here. So bishop B. If Rubinstein can actually trade off the knight, well, I don't know if he'd want to trade off the knight now that I think about it. And the knight covers this pawn, so it's actually a smart idea to let, if black did this would actually be a 0 position, equal. Slightly better for black, but equal in general. So that's why Alekhine doesn't take the pawn, just develops. And if Rubinstein takes, Alekhine would be more than happy to, probably he would take with the bishop, because if he took with the knight, then there is a potential for the knight to come and then have a pin here. So more tantalizing probably would be, or more direct would be, bishop takes, keeps the pin. And then you also have knight to b6, and all of Alekhine's pieces are well placed. So that's why knight there, knight b e5, when the knight takes, the bishop takes. So Rubinstein does have a nice bishop. For the moment, it's an outposted bishop because the knight's in front of the f7 pawn. So if the knight was here, f6 could be played to kick the bishop out, but at this moment the knight's blocking f6. So there we go. Alekhine does that. Then we retreat back. Rook b8. So now there's a pin here on the b file. d4. Bishop takes. That's an interesting combo. Takes. Nice discovery. Wow, I gotta see that. I have to see that over again. They saw all that. Cause that just removes the pawn so that this discovery idea is possible. That removes it so that's actually playable. Wow, that's excellent tactic right there. That was sweet. And that deserves a double sweet for a move. That was a nice combination. I'm loving that's a really nice. Can't take here because you lose your queen. So that's kind of what this queen move does. It attacks the bishop. So f3, rook d8. Now this pawn's covered. d6. So we're gonna try to push right on through. Now the king has a spot to run to. Yeah. c3, c2. There's pawn, yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best term for it in Vox, is he fell into it. Because think about this. Rubinstein was a monster when it came. Think about it. They have an opening in the French defense. There's a lot of openings that are named after him. So the player isn't a a pushover. They all make mistakes. But I like what you said about Rubinstein fell into it, because he wouldn't have walked over the leaves and fell into a hole if he had seen it. Sometimes though you're forced into that. It's called win if you get set up for that. So g5, d, and then f4. Yeah, ouch. Alright, this is so tangled up. If he takes here, the queen really doesn't have any way to stop this, and if you move here, that's taken. So if he moves over here, you just take there, and this is just devastating. Alekhine's got him. At this point, he resigned here. Wow. We'll go over some puzzles. That was a stellar game. This combo, I gotta see it one more time. I gotta see that combo one last time. I know you guys want to see it too. Wow. Knight takes. That's a cool move. Takes there and then takes. Wow. Wow. Okay, we'll do some puzzles now. Now that deserved a in football and all the sports, they get a replay, instant replay. That deserved an instant replay, right there. Okay. Let's see if we can do a couple puzzles before I log off here. Yeah. See, that's what these puzzles should help us do is get. I guess I call it the eagle eye look into tactics. That's Alekhine saw a correlation of tactics, like gears that come together and they do certain things. That's what Alekhine saw. Oh yeah, rook takes. I looked at that too. I was looking at rook takes, and then knight takes e4 or e3. I mean. Actually, the best move here, yeah, you're right. It's not knight takes. You have this. You have the right idea, Fox. Yeah, that's it. Nice job, economy. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Nice work. Sweet. Yeah, loving it. That's right. That's right. Here, and then queen, because then you're forking there and there at the same time. So the knight's gonna drop. Nice. So this is it. And there you go. Boom. Good job. Let's see here. Okie dokie. So this knight doesn't have a defender, so there's a potential pin idea here with bishop to e5. No, that's not a pin, sorry. Thought the king was there, but it's not. So, well, maybe we could actually, no, that doesn't work. I was thinking there he can actually trade. Well, maybe we could take. Because the knight, the queen is under fire. So is our rook, though. Okay, let's. Yeah, I'm seeing. I was looking at this because then the rook slides over. Knight takes. That can't be. That's too easy. Are we missing something here? I knew we were missing something here. Yeah. So rook takes g2, g1, check, and if rook takes g1, knight takes f5, and then knight b5, check. That's kind of the problem here. See if we play here, wham. Oh, sorry, not there. There, slides over here. We take there, and then he goes there. And I think we have to give the queen. I think we have to give the queen back. If I'm not mistaken, we have to actually play here. This rook comes down here. We intercept with our queen. The rook takes, and then the king takes, and in the end we have that. Sorry, this will be what our pieces are left with, and he'll only have these pieces. So we'll be up in exchange in that line. Yeah. And then you have to take. So if you take here, knights there, there. Oh. Oh, gotcha. That's right. That makes sense. Well, let me see. Yeah, okay, miscalculation on that. So, yeah, gotcha. Here, there, there. Okay, alright, then gotcha. Rook here, and then there. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep. That's right. Yep. Good job there. Okay, one more. Let's end on a win. Nice. We had the right idea, just wrong placement of the queen. Would have been an interesting line. I think we would be losing though in the other line. So this is good. So if we're there. I'm wanting this to happen. I want this, and I want him to take here. Then I can pick up a piece, but I doubt he'll do that. Huh. I'm trying to see if we, if knight takes, rook takes, and then queen to h3 with a mate threat. But I doubt that, because then the queen can actually slide. Oops, I have the wrong combos there. Here, I had the wrong set. And there, so that doesn't work like I thought it would. looking at all tactics. I'm trying to find if there's any like removing of the guard or anything like rook h8. I'm trying to see if there's anything like moving the king to see if we get anything on that line. Oh yeah, that would be check, so we can't take there. Very sneaky on that rook to e4. We'd lose our queen in that line. Because if we took here, he would take there with a discovery and we'd lose the queen, yeah. Yeah, I'm liking that idea. This idea over here, the queen has to move there to do mate, then we take. Nice. I like that idea there, yeah. Yeah, I like you guys got that idea at the same time. Alright, perfect job. Great job, guys. Okay. Do you guys have any ideas on the lines before I log off? Yep, that's right. Any move sequences you guys want to go over? Any like other tries? Yes. What would the other try? Okay, let's take a look at. Let's see here. Is d takes? Okay, it's knight. Okay, it's knight takes. Oh. Trying to see. I think if we check here, he can actually intercept there. So trying to see if checking there doesn't actually. Yeah, I think we win there. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what the computer says the best move is. We'll try that move. It takes there. Yeah, wham. If queen takes. Oh snap! I missed the mate. I gotta work on that. For some reason, I missed this. I had to work on that. There was mate there. Snap. I took here, and then after he takes there. Oh, I missed that. A rook hangs. Rats. And then we move there, and then wham, comes up, And then you can actually take there. Oh, sweet! You just disassemble the guy or the player, and it's stalemate. Wow. So the only move to hold is actually rook. And then now we just attack. We just attack here, trade everything off, and you just start trading pieces off. Yes, we did. Do you have any other lines you want to look at besides? Oops, turn off the engine. Do you have any other lines you want to look at? Any other lines, guys? That's good. Alright, perfect. Well, guys, like what Fox said and you guys did, we got them all right. Yeah, hurrah. Good job. Those were some tough ones, but we worked together and we found it. Great work. You know what? We're knowing and we're applying, like Bruce Lee said, we're willing and we're doing. You know what? We're learning to make our hands to also war, and our fingers to fight, which is what chess is. It's a board of the mind. We're using our mind to our hands to moving the pieces right. We're gonna get there. You know, it takes a while, but guess what? We're always in work in progress. If anybody says that they've mastered something, they need to think again, rethink that, because humans constantly need to work. So guys, just remember, use the mind the Lord's given you. Keep moving forward, learn from your mistakes, and you know what? Don't let it hold you back. We're cool, we're getting stronger, and we're going to become a diamond. So we just got to keep that in mind. Those hard times when sometimes, like we got all greens this time, sometimes there's a day that there's reds, a lot of reds. But you know what? We take those reds and learn from them. And we just keep moving forward. We don't let the things get us down. So just remember that, and you know what? We're gonna get there, one step at a time. And like Hannibal Smith said, a plan's only good when you know what your opponent's going to do, predict it, and have them do that idea. The forcing moves are what he's talking about. And we need to, pray for all the stuff that's going on around the world and keep them in your thoughts and prayers, guys. And so I'll leave you with that. As Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, I say God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening. And guys, thank you all for logging on again. And you know what? We're going to do this. And Lord willing, I'm going to be back on tomorrow, and we'll do some more studies, some more tactics, and games if you guys want to bring them. And we're going to keep improving. We'll get stronger and stronger, and we'll get to our destination. So be blessed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye, guys. Great job. Actually, thumbs up.